Hello, hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Lunchtime with Dr. Nadine. I am so excited to have you here today. I have a special guest. Her name is Laverne Preval, and I'm so excited for us to have a conversation over lunch today. So, Laverne, welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me here.
Awesome, awesome. So, Laverne, this will be your first time on lunchtime with me.
Oh, yeah.
And we have our viewers joining us from all over the world. Wherever you're joining us from right now, we just want you to drop in the comments. Tell us, where are you joining us from for lunch today? You may have your drink. I forgot to grab mine. You may be eating as well. But whatever you're doing, we're just excited that you chose to spend lunchtime with us today. So tell us in the comments where you're joining us from. Okay, we have folks joining from Trinidad right now. I see a hello from Trinidad.
Oh,
We have our
nice.
viewers coming in. Just tell us in the chat, where are you joining us from today? And I'm having lunch today with our special guest, Laverne Preval. So Laverne, tell our viewers a little bit about yourself. Introduce us, let us know where you're joining us from, and just so they can get to know a little bit about you.
Sure. Well, my name is Laverne Preval. I'm from the beautiful Melanesian country of Papua New Guinea, and I currently live in Illinois with my husband. I'm happily married, and I'm just so blessed to be here today with Dr. Nadine. It's honestly been an amazing journey, and I just can't wait to share what God has been doing in my life.
Awesome, awesome. We are just excited to have you. And now, for those of you who are joining us, I did announce that we'll be featuring this week five ladies who just went through the speaker mentorship program. We launched the very first group program about maybe 16 weeks ago. And
Yes.
so we finished about 2 weeks now. I started with the second cohort last Wednesday, but Laverne was one of my star clients, amazing clients going through that first cohort of the group program. So, Laverne, tell our viewers what brought you to the Speaker Mentorship Group program.
Well, last year I had gotten married, so I moved to a different state. So I was actually going through a transition, from a single life to the married life, and also just moving to a completely different environment than what I was used to. Prior to that, I was serving as a lifestyle counselor at the YouTube Pines Institute, and it was really a blessing. There's just so many things that I learned about life, about myself, about healing, about family, about God. And it was so like moving. And I remember when the time came when I left, I'm like, I can't carry all of this information and keep it to myself. I can't be obese with all this truth. And so, right after I got married, we moved and I started a group. It's a private group on Facebook called Crown Up, and it was initially for Melanesian women. And I
Mhm.
began to share all the things that I had been learning through the years. I was just pouring and pouring, and after a while, it was like, this is great, but I feel like there's just more. And so I just kept hitting a brick wall. I felt so, I felt stuck, and I was just like, Lord, I really just want a new experience. I want a new challenge, but I
Mhm.
really don't know who can help me with that. And that's when I just went into praying and fasting and asking God to bring someone in my life. I'm like, Lord, I need a mentor. Because, especially when you're a lifestyle counselor or when you get to a place where you're the one that's constantly pouring into people, you're
Mm.
constantly pouring. And it just got to a point where I needed to be poured into as well.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to just choose anybody out of the blue. I wanted God to choose the person for me because God knows me so well and He knows what I need and He knows what other people need and who will be the right person to kind of mold and direct me in the path that God wanted me to go. And so like after fasting and prayer, that's when I saw one of your videos. In fact, I actually saw you 2 years before.
Okay.
I saw you on a different platform giving I think the talk was about healing from generational trauma or something like that.
Okay.
And I remember you started to speak, and I'm like, who is that woman? Like, who is she? Where did she come from? And I was really inspired, just the way you spoke and everything. And I remember just thinking to myself, I hope I can meet her someday. Random thought, random thought. So after that prayer, And fasting, that's when I saw a flyer pop up about one of your webinars about fear. And I was like, hey, that's the same lady. I was like, let me check her out, see what she's about. And it was a free webinar. So I was like, praise the Lord. And I watched the whole thing. And when you were done speaking, I'm like, she spoke through my heart. I felt like you literally, like the words that were coming out of your mouth just kind of dismissed all the fears that I had about, coming out and speaking and facing my fears. And that's when I was like, I need to make an appointment to speak with you. But I did an appointment and I canceled that appointment because my fears got the best of me. And that's when God was like, why are you running away like Jonah? Like, you prayed for something, I answered, and now you're running away from the answer. And so that's when I was like, you can do this. So I reached out to you again and set another appointment. And, I was just like, just answer her call, answer her call. And I did. I was so nervous about it. But after we spoke for that 30 minutes, it was like, this is it. This is what I was praying for. And, of course, I was like, oh, money, finances, all these things. But I knew that God would provide. And He did. He did. And just going through that program just kind of ignited my passion again. And I think that's one of the things sometimes, like when we're going through not just trials, but when you're trying to figure out life and trying to see where you're going, sometimes we kind of close in on ourselves and we expect things to change, but sometimes you really got to step out of your comfort zone. And that's what I did by faith. I was just like, let me step out there, see what the Lord can do. And you showed up and you were the whole package.
Oh my goodness, that is such an amazing backstory. I am just the tool, just a vessel. But I want to first congratulate you on your marriage. I know you celebrated 1 year anniversary this year,
Yes,
so
I did.
congrats. And
Thank
it's
you.
amazing, as women, we go through life, and while you're going through one transition, transitioning from single life to married life, and transitioning from one state to another state, you were still in that search or that pursuit of purpose. Like, what am I meant to do? And
Right.
that's just amazing. Now the backstory is, even for me, it's like, wow, I didn't even know what God was doing with you in the background,
Yeah.
when we met. But it's amazing because 2 years before, and there we were working together this year, you got to meet me. We met online, and I'm absolutely sure by the grace of God, as long as we have life, we will meet in person. And so I'm excited, and
Yeah.
it was such
For it.
an amazing experience working with you. You were like, I teach, on the side. That's something I do on the side. I still teach masters and PhD students. Working with you, I felt like I was working with one of my top students because you were just on top of everything. And so it was really an honor working with you, really. And so I know that you had a desire to do more because you were already facilitating a Facebook group, but you felt that something was missing. And so we had that discovery call, and I remember our conversation, and I remember you saying you would get back to me. And I sent you a follow up email, and then I sent you another follow up
Yeah.
email. And when I sent that second one, you wrote back and said, I had questions for you, and you answered all of
Yes,
these questions.
exactly. All the questions I had, you literally answered before I even asked. And I was like, come on, Jesus, before you call, I will answer. There you go.
I remember that because I read the email and you're like, okay, I had all of these questions and you just answered all of them. Okay, so now I know what I need to do. And so you were literally answering your call while it's just God, you're just using a human agent just to get you to where He wants you. And you showed up, surely showed up in a grand way in every session, in all of the work that we had to do. What was the experience like for you going through that speaker program? Because you prayed, you got the answer, now you enrolled in the speaker mentorship program. What was that journey like for you?
Ooh, where can I even start? I mean, I would start off by saying, when we pray to God for something, especially if He places something in our hearts to pray for, and then He answers,
Mhm.
we need to be diligent in that answered prayer. And I
Mhm.
think that was the mindset I had coming in, that this is God answering and I can't be slacking. I can't be like partial, like just 80%. I have to be like 100% in it. And what I really wanted out of the program is I knew what I was called to do, but I wasn't clear on how to do it.
Mhm.
That was where like I was kind of stuck, how to merge ministry with my career and what I really have a passion for. And
Mhm.
so the program was just able to give me that clarity, able to provide the tools that I needed. And I must say this, there's one thing when someone tells you how to do something and you're like, okay, I see that. But it's another thing when someone tells you and they're actually living it, they model it. So I
Mhm.
think for me, that's what really sealed it for me, because the things that you were teaching us, you were
Mhm.
actually living it. Because you'll say something and then I'll go on your page, or I wasn't stalking you, but
That's
I'll, I'll go on your page or read some of your things, and it's like, oh, that's what she means by that. And so it just made it so much real to see a walking person living, like a live person living out the instructions that they were giving us, because that's not usual. And I think for me it made all the difference. And so yeah, that was something about the mentorship speaker program. And I think another thing for me too is I'm a person that I love challenge, and I do like it when people rebuke me, or when people like just be real with me. Tell
Mhm.
me if I'm not doing something right, tell me. And you were very honest through that process. A lot of people don't balance honesty and grace.
Mhm.
Being honest but giving grace for the person to, actually grow in all of that. So it was really a blessing. And then working in a group setting with other women, that was really nice to see that,
Mhm.
wow, like we're all different ages here, different backgrounds, but everybody has that same desire to want to help others. And so I gained a lot from just listening to the others' stories around me. So it was such a blessing. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. What would you say? I mean, I'm happy that you enjoyed that group experience. It was my first time doing the group program, the group speaker mentorship group program, because I've been working with clients one on one. And this year I said I'm going to test it out, and I found it to be such an amazing experience, and I decided I'm going to do it again. And that's only because of you ladies, from what eight 7 or 8, let me
Right.
see, 6 or 7 different countries. And as you said, totally different backgrounds, different experiences, different stories. But then such a sisterhood was built,
Yes. Yes.
because I see that we have a chat just for the ladies, and I'm just seeing how you ladies are cheering each other along, and the support that was there during the program. What was it like for you on the days when we would sometimes deviate from just the what we needed to discuss today to just the empowerment sessions? How did that resonate with you?
Oh, that was always a bonus. That was always a bonus. I mean, I do believe in working hard and, being diligent and all that. But there comes a time when, like I said, just giving space for growth. And there were moments in the group when, women had to share what was going on in their lives. And it just made it more real,
Mhm.
to know that you are, when you go out and you speak to women, these are the situations that you're going
Mhm.
to be dealing with, like
Mhm.
women in all different backgrounds. And so I appreciated that we had just a sisterhood and a safe space to be vulnerable, like this is what's going on in my life right now, and
Mhm.
to be able to uplift each other. And that was like, I was like, that is such a blessing, because that's something about you going an extra mile. I
Mhm.
mean, initially we're supposed to just stick with, the program, but whenever you can cater for that, it tells me that you're much more than, just trying to make money off of a class or anything. You care about people. And
Mhm.
if I can see that in you as my coach or my mentor, that just motivates me. It's like, reminds me that people really do care. Because one thing I would say is the role that you played, it was like, to me personally, it was more than a mentor. There
Yeah.
were times when the voice that came out of you was of a mother. There were times it was of a sister. There were
Mhm.
times it was of an aunt. So it was like different roles that catered
Mhm.
to needs, and it was amazing. It was amazing. Like some days I can sit and listen and just soak it in. Like, yes, yes, Lord.
That's just God, I'm just grateful because for me it was something else. Some days when, okay, this is what I want to cover today, and we get into the session and it's like, okay, this is not going to happen today. Let's just empower, let's just pour into, let's just talk about what you're going through. And with some of the other ladies, it was even sometimes more in depth when, I would see something is wrong, like when we have the bi-weekly accountability calls in Runway to Soar and stuff. What did you think of just the whole experience and what you got from not just the speaker program, but the other programs supplementing your journey and your growth as well?
Oh, yes. I'm glad you mentioned about that. Listen, so the speaker mentorship program, that was awesome. But she also in the package, she gave a complimentary prayer course, to be a certified prayer counselor. There was the runway to soar and the branding and the prayer class. I am so glad I started that off before we started the speaker mentorship program, because to me, the prayer course kind of positioned myself in the
Mhm.
right place.
Yes.
Hear God.
Amen.
Because sometimes in life you're doing great things and you're on the go, you're doing ministry, you're doing all these great things, but we don't really take time to listen. And
Mhm.
so for me, that prayer class was just revolutionary. I mean, it was, and mind you, when I started doing the prayer class and the speaker mentorship program, the devil was attacking, and I was like,
Mm.
I know I'm doing something right.
Mm.
To be that mad and to be attacking me, I know I'm doing something right. But the prayer course, it was just a perfect way to put you in a right mind frame.
Yes.
You're actually ready, because the work that we're doing, that's how I see it.
Mhm.
It's more than just a physical thing. It's a
Mhm.
spiritual battle. And if you're going to fight a lot of these spiritual issues out there, you can't do it with the flesh. You need the spirit of God to be the one moving through you. And
Amen.
so I really appreciated it. There were times when I had to go back, or there were times when I'm just in random places and I remember one of the modules and I'm like, that's that, that's that. It was just, yeah, the prayer class for me was really, really amazing. It was amazing. It was balanced, very balanced.
Yes, awesome. I'm happy for you. I'm happy for your journey. I know you really took on the prayer class, and you, like most of the other ladies, while we're going through the sessions, go back to the prayer class, just go back to the foundation, go back to where we are grounded. And I really love that. So I want you to tell our viewers, what is your speaking focus on?
Okay. So again, like, because I said my background is in, I was a lifestyle counselor, I dealt with a lot of people that came in that had a lot of physical issues, cancer, diabetes, you name it, all of that. But as through the years, I began to realize that at the root of a lot of their problems, it was a spiritual and an emotional and mental issue, the things that you can't see.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was from that I realized that I want to be the one to begin to address these things, because that was my journey too. It wasn't that I was just helping people. God brought me through a journey of just healing me from the inside out, getting that emotional healing, spiritual healing, and it brought me on a journey of just restoring my relationship, especially with my mother. We had a very estranged relationship for years.
Mm-hmm.
I could see, I didn't understand then, but eventually I could see that it affected all areas of my life,
Mm-hmm.
even spiritually. And so
Mm-hmm.
that is why I know that God has called me to speak about breaking generational cycles, because it's so real.
Mm-hmm.
The enemy is attacking families because, we know that society is made up of families. And before a person goes to a work, before a person, becomes whoever they are, everybody comes out of a home. And so that's usually, if the home is the heart of society. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like a lot of issues that aren't addressed at home, we see the results in society. And so breaking generational cycles is pretty much, let's look at some of the destructive patterns
Mm-hmm.
in our homes. Let's look at some of the destructive patterns inside our hearts. And
Mm-hmm.
through the power of God, let's resolve some of these things and get some healing. Because one of the things that really drive me to do that, is that when I got to the part where I was able to experience healing, I was like, now I can see God.
Yes.
I never realized that all the issues that I was having,
Mm,
it was like a spiritual cataract. I couldn't see
right.
past. I couldn't
Yeah.
see past. And so now that I received my healing, I'm able to see God clearly. And now
Mm-hmm.
that I'm able to see God clearly, it's increased my faith. And not only that, now I can understand how He sees me. I can
Mm-hmm.
understand His plans for my life, and I can understand His plans for humanity, not just in this world, but the world to come. So it's so much more than let's just forgive and be nice to each other. It's so
Mm-hmm.
much more. I think it has an eternal value attached to it.
Awesome, awesome. I want you to tell our viewers a little more because you speak about breaking generational cycles, and I believe that this is a very key area in what we need to address in life, but it's something that we don't necessarily speak about in church much. People just talk about generational curses, but we don't talk about that stuff. And there's so many layers to these generational cycles that the Bible calls generational curses that affect us in this present life that we don't even know. I am doing this thing or I have this habit and I'm not sure why I'm even doing it. It just comes second nature to me, or I have this weakness, or I'm struggling with this thing, or I see this pattern in my life. And I have never even stopped to figure out why is it you're doing this thing over and over again, even though it's not serving you well. And so I believe that it's your topic, your area of speaking expertise, which is also aligned with your personal experience, is a powerful one and one that's very needed because we do not address it enough. In fact, I think we really pass over it as we do many things. And a lot of the ladies' stories and a lot of these women coming out now as speakers are going to be addressing these taboo areas or these areas we like to push under the rug. Your area is one of these areas. So tell our viewers a little bit about these generational curses or generational cycles, even maybe your own background briefly, because I know that there are so many people out there struggling with generational patterns, with generational cycles, with these generational curses, and they don't know where to begin. But from your personal experience, how important was it for you to really, and I see Geralda is saying yes, another Facebook viewer is saying yes, because we don't talk about generational cycles and generational curses, but most of us are affected by them.
Mhm.
So speak to us a little bit on the topic itself, pertaining even to your personal experience and maybe how you even got your healing.
Yeah. I mean, that's a really good question. I think one of the things to keep in mind is that you're not going to heal what you don't know. So a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times we just don't know. When I look back, I didn't know this is what was driving my life, and I didn't know I had issues. I thought I was fine.
Mm-hmm.
When people think like you're okay, but you're really not. But I
Mm-hmm.
realized that God, in all His graciousness, He allows different experiences to show you there's something wrong right there. But a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times we're like, nah, it's not me, it's them. This whole blaming, deflecting responsibility, all of that. And for me, it had to take a breakup after almost a 9 year relationship. It
Mm-hmm.
was a toxic relationship as well. And I just didn't understand while I was in that relationship, I didn't understand why I was experiencing all the fear, all the trauma, the depression, the suicidal thoughts, even attempted suicide, the abuse. I didn't know why, and I didn't know how to get out of it. Like you kind of know something's not right, but I didn't know who to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was one of these things where I kind of just masked all my pain and, present my great self out there. But I was suffering. I was
Mm-hmm.
suffering and I was still praying to God, help me get out, help me get out, help me get out. And it had to get to a point where finally God made a way for me to get out.
Mm-hmm.
When I got out, that's when my relationship with God really began to deepen. And He's like, I'm trying to heal you. I'm
Mm-hmm.
really trying to heal you. and and it wasn't until I actually found a book in my own home. I don't even know how the book got there. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
who claims to own that book, but maybe Jesus dropped it in there. And I picked up the book, and it was about emotional legacy between a mother. And I was like, what is that? What is that? And I began to read, and that's when I started to realize, oh, there's actually connections between mother and daughter. And that's when I realized that I really had a toxic relationship with my mother almost
Mm-hmm.
all my life. Like we didn't have a relationship. It was very cordial. You live in the same house, you
Mm-hmm.
go to the same church, you had regular conversations, but there was no deep connections.
Mm-hmm.
And I built up a lot of resentments and bitterness towards her over the years. So when God began to show me these things, it was like, oh, okay. But then in your head, you're thinking as a young person, why can't my parents be the one to initiate this thing?
Mm-hmm.
But I remember as I was, praying, my older sister and I were fasting. That's when God was like, no, you have to do it. You have to initiate it. And we initiated a conversation with our mother that lasted almost 3 hours. And I literally just shared all the things that hurt me, growing up.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, she was, a little defensive, but I was like, no, Lord. I was like, you promised me, and I'm claiming this giant has to go down tonight. And
Mm-hmm.
I was claiming it. And eventually, that's when I asked my mother, I was like, what was it like for you growing up? And as she began to share, like in the
Mm-hmm.
middle of her sharing, she paused and she was like, oh my goodness,
Mm-hmm.
treating you guys the same way my mother treated me. And it was
Mm-hmm.
like for the first time we all just realized like, okay, this generational cycle thing is for real. And obviously it wasn't just, my mom's, there was things with my dad too that we had to work through with it. And after that I just dive into it. I started searching and reading, and you would think I got it right.
Yeah.
I'm telling, the human heart is stubborn. It is so stubborn. um, I didn't get it right. I still got into another, unhealthy relationship. And God, again, it's like I'm trying to show you something here, like wake up. And I think it was in the next relationship where I got engaged and it fell through.
Mm-hmm.
That's when God was like, I'm trying to heal you. I am trying to heal you. There are things, there are traits that you have, tendencies that has been passed down to you, but you can make a different choice.
Mm-hmm.
You can end that cycle. You don't have to keep perpetuating all this stress in your life. And I think when I realized that I have the power, God has given me
Mm-hmm.
power to will and to do. Like I can literally change the trajectory or the narrative of my bloodline. That's
Mm-hmm.
so empowering. And I was
Amen.
like, this is amazing. And that's when I began to, live more intentionally. I'm like, I'm not gonna get into any random relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Let me work on me. The,
Mm-hmm.
the thing is, even though other people had hurt me in the process, I'm still responsible for my healing.
Yes, it
You
starts
know,
with you.
it starts with me, and it's like I could forgive them. Um, Praise God, for me, I was able to restore my relationship with my parents, and it's way better than it was before.
Praise
I thank
God.
God. And it's one of these things too. When you start to heal, it has a ripple effect.
Mm-hmm.
It has a ripple effect, and I've seen that
Wow.
able to help my sisters and whatnot. And that's the thing. I know when I posted, like I started posting stuff on my Facebook, some people were probably like, "Where did she come from?"
Mm-hmm.
Suddenly throwing this stuff. No, I've actually been working on this behind the scenes, and I started with my immediate family years ago.
Awesome.
And from there,
Beautiful.
I just built up to community, and now I'm like, let me just get out there because somebody does like,
Awesome.
yeah.
I am so excited and I'm so grateful too that the Lord led you for us to work together and that was able to help you position yourself, position your message and just get out there. I know it might be stressful sometimes because you're putting things on social media and people are like, "What?" But the message is clear and I see you posting consistently. So to our viewers, I want to let you know if you're interested in having Laverne speak at your church at an event, you have a small group, you're really concerned about your generational cycle, generational curses, how to break them, and so on. We have an expert. She's not speaking from the book, she's speaking from her personal experience, her personal journey of healing from these generational cycles to create a new trajectory for her future, for her bloodline, for her family. And so, Laverne, can you tell our viewers how can they get in touch with you?
Oh yeah, definitely. I am on Facebook. You can message me on Facebook, my Facebook page as well. I'm on Instagram and LinkedIn, or you can email me on breakingcycles@lavernepreval.com. Yes.
Okay, so that's breaking cycles at lavernepreval.com. I'm going to put that there in the comments as well. And can you just give them your Facebook handles?
So that's LinkedIn, uh, Instagram, and Facebook as well. Yeah, Facebook.
What name can they find you there?
Laverne Preval. If you type in Laverne Preval, there it should pop up.
Awesome. And we
I
can
hope I'm the only Laverne Preval out there.
We hope so. And what we're going to do is we're going to be able to drop your social handles again on maybe all of the different places that we have this here. I just dropped the email here. If you need Laverne to speak, she is available. She's taking appointments right now to speak on the importance of breaking cycles, on the importance of taking personal responsibility for
Yeah.
your healing and for your future. Laverne, do you have any last words? If there's a woman out there who's interested in really getting out there and speaking, being in the position that you are now, and she's considering the speaker mentorship program, we have our last cohort on, and so we'll just be taking people for the next group on a wait list. But what would you say to any ladies out there who are contemplating the fact that they need to invest in themselves to get the support, guidance, and mentorship that they need to launch their speaking platforms?
Do it. Join the program. Even if you're really fearful about it, this is an opportunity for you to step out there. You never know the doors that God would open. And I'm a firm believer of, if you're praying for something and God answers, don't walk past it. Like, that's the answered prayer right there. And two, sometimes the answered prayer may not look like it's something that's comfortable.
Mhm.
It may not make sense to you, like, could this really be? But if this is something you've been wanting to do, get with Dr. Nadine. She's going to help you give birth to that. She was our midwife.
Yes.
Yep.
Awesome, awesome. So again, you can reach out to Laverne at breaking cycles at lavernepreval.com. You can check her out on social media. She's on Instagram, she's on Facebook. Reach out to her if you just reach out to her if you're looking, because I know that your speaking area is so important. And I know that we need to have more conversations around your area of expertise, because too many of us are suffering in silence because we're going through these generational cycles that are consistently defeating us and consistently putting us in positions where we're not getting the breakthroughs that we desire. So I see we have some folks here. La Geralda is saying, God bless you, Laverne.
Thank
Geralda is one of your sisters in the Runway to Soul coaching experience. She also says, I love your message and stuff. And she sees your posts. We have some other one of our Facebook users, maybe from the ministry page. Not everything shows up the names. Make the investment. It is worth it. Your story becomes someone else's
you.
survival guide. Thank you so much for joining us today, Laverne. I'm so excited that you took the time to have lunch with me today. Our viewers, we are thankful too that you took the time to join us for lunchtime. We will be on all week, every day from 12 to 12:30 EST. Feel free to share Laverne's interview right now, because I'm sure many people need to know about her message. And also, we look forward to having you join us for the rest of the week at 12 EST every single day. God bless you guys. Have a wonderful rest of the day and see you tomorrow for lunchtime. Thank you again,
Hey
Laverne.
guys,
God
bye
bless.
bye.
Bye bye.